Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Yevamot page 57, which continues to discuss the special food that's eaten by the Kohen, namely Truma. We know that even a woman who is not a Kohen by birth, and she marries a Kohen, by virtue of the fact that she's now living with this Kohen, she is now allowed to eat Truma. However, if we're dealing with a situation where a woman was the daughter of a Kohen, which means she was always eating Truma because of her father's home, and she gets divorced. Now, a woman who's divorced in Jewish law is not allowed to marry a Kohen. Now, let's say for whatever reason, the Kohen and this woman who was previously divorced decide to get engaged. They perform Kedushin. So on this, there's a dispute brought down on our page whether or not that will automatically, at that moment, cancel her rights from being able to eat Truma, because she's now involved in an improper relationship of wanting to complete and get married to a Kohen when she's not allowed to, technically, because she is a divorced woman. On this, the Talmud asks the question, what if they didn't actually do this Kedushin, and they didn't actually have marital relations, but all the Kohen did was he brought her under the chuppah, under the canopy? What exactly is the status there? So there's a dispute between Rav and Shmuel. I'd like to point out one important detail that's kind of on the side. Shmuel, when he decides to speak about Rav, and they're constantly always arguing and debating one another, the question is, did they show respect for one another? So it's interesting that when Shmuel calls Rav, he doesn't call him by his name. The Talmud here says, at least Abba, you should agree to me under such and such a situation. Abba, we know, means father. Now Tosfos says that Rav actually had another name, and his name actually was Abba. There are actually people that name their children Abba, which means father. However, according to the interpretation of Rashi, it's actually a way of showing respect. And the reason why was because Rav was actually older than Shmuel. And therefore, when Shmuel would speak to him, he would speak to him in such a respectful way that he would say, my father. Of course, we know that one of the 10 commandments is the mitzvah of honoring one's parents, honoring one's father. So it shows that even though on the surface you see two people arguing with one another and fighting with one another, we still see a small hint of the great level of respect that is still shown.